If there has been one significant change in the global economy over the last several years, it has been the gradual erosion of belief in the US dollar's indefinite supremacy. The international community is increasingly debating the likely changes in the global financial system's configuration, with scenarios ranging from a bipolar system dominated by the dollar-yuan duopoly to various multipolar scenarios involving, among other things, the creation of a Brics reserve currency. And is the prospect of the creation of R5, the provisional name for the would-be Brics currency. All Brics currencies begin with the letter R, that is shifting the focus of the increasingly heated global debate. Do stay with us till the end. Remember to like the video if you're enjoying our content, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications in order to stay connected. The issue of establishing a Brics reserve currency has gained prominence in recent months following President Putin's announcement that such a currency was being discussed. This was followed by a series of statements from Russia's legislative branch, most recently from Federation Assembly Speaker Valentina Matvienko, on the necessity of creating a new reserve currency. While the debate over the possibility of creating such a reserve currency is still in its early stages in Russia and around the world, the implications of such a move by the Brics could have far-reaching consequences for the global financial system. Initially, the Valdai Club proposed a new reserve currency based on a basket of Brics countries' currencies in 2018. The idea was to create an SDR-type currency basket composed of Brics countries' national currencies, as well as potentially some of the other currencies of the Brics Plus Circle economies. The Brics national currencies were chosen because they were among the most liquid currencies in emerging markets. The new reserve currency's name, R5 or R5 Plus, was inspired by the first letters of the Brics currencies, all of which begin with the letter R: riel, ruble, rupee, renminbi, rand. The use of national currencies among developing countries is acquiring increasing importance as the developing economies are building their own development banks and integration platforms against the backdrop of rising protectionist pressures in the developed world. Indeed, the creation of these new integration platforms may notably facilitate the increasing use of national currencies. One of the potential test cases is the emergence of Brics Plus, a platform that potentially could bring together the largest integration bloc of the developing world. Within such a Brics Plus, there may be a case for what may be termed as the R5 initiative that targets the use of the respective national currencies of Brics countries: ruble, Russia; rand, South Africa; riel, Brazil; rupee, India; and renminbi, China, within the Brics Plus circle and more broadly in the world economy. The elements of such a strategy may include measures to boost trade and investment among Brics Plus, cooperation between the respective RTAs to create more scope for the use of national currencies, cooperation between development institutions in using national currencies to fund investments and long-term projects, cooperation in promoting Brics Plus currencies towards reserve currency status. Importantly, the R5 initiative, or alternatively the R5 Plus initiative to denote the national currencies of all Brics Plus members, needs to target greater use of all currencies in the Brics Plus circle in order to render the R5 Plus network open and inclusive. The launch of the R5 Plus initiative would enable the Brics Plus countries to monetize the increasing intensity of mutual economic cooperation through the use of national currencies and a significant reduction in transaction or conversion costs associated with the use of other currencies in mutual transactions, such as the dollar or the euro. Furthermore, the Brics Plus format appears to be particularly well-suited to the R5 Plus initiative's implementation. For starters, the inclusion of a regional circle of partners facilitates the spread of such an initiative and makes it more long-term sustainable due to the relatively higher intensity of trade and investment across the respective regional integration arrangements. Furthermore, the synergy created by bringing together the cooperation of regional development banks and the respective RFA's regional financing arrangements that are part of the Brics Plus framework creates additional instruments and possibilities to sustain the drive toward the use of national currencies in regional and cross-regional domains. Many arguments against the R5 currency are based on the fact that the Brics do not form an optimal currency area, OCA, and that the intensity of intra-Brics trade should be much higher in order to allow for the creation of a common currency. The trends observed in recent years point to a significant increase in intra-Brics trade, with bilateral trade turnover across China and Brazil exceeding $135 billion in 2021 and more than $150 billion in 2022, posting 5 years of consecutive records. Brazil, India, reaching 11.5 million in 2021, growth of more than 60%, and approaching the target of $15 billion set for 2022. Russia, India, exceeding $31 billion in 20 going forward. The share of South-South intra-Brics Plus trade is likely to grow as developing economies capitalize on the substantial potential in mutual trade. Furthermore, there are no plans to launch a common currency to replace the national currencies at this time. Rather than the somewhat misguided focus on the OCA commandments, it may be more pertinent to consider some of the less explored questions surrounding the R5 project's future. The first and most obvious question is, why would a monopoly be preferable to competition in the world of international finance? Wouldn't the global community benefit far more from greater choice among a growing number of reserve currencies, as well as more countries competing and improving their economic policies to make their monetary units more appealing to other economies? A related question is the allocation of reserve currency spoils resulting from the dollar's exorbitant privilege. If these monopoly proceeds cannot be taxed and redistributed back to the global community, should not there be a policy of benign neglect with regard to efforts to build own payment and currency systems in the global south that are sanction-free? And from an economic standpoint, what is wrong with countries developing a currency system that is not subject to politicization or sanctions, especially if the new currency includes explicit guarantees that such restrictions will not be imposed? Another aspect of R5 that has received little attention thus far is the layer of Brics-related financial institutions that could support the launch of such a currency, including through liquidity and market making. The tandem of the New Development Bank and the Contingency Reserve Arrangement, Brics CRA, is at the heart of this network of financial institutions. It has the capability to design and implement coordinated de-dollarization strategies that involve greater use of national currencies in R5 over the long term. Then there are the Brics member national and regional development banks or funds, such as the Eurasian Development Bank, FOSAM, SDF, and others. There are also regional financing arrangements in which Brics Plus countries participate: EXSD, FLAR, CMIM, KMA Initiative Multilateralization, which according to IMF estimates have more resources than the IMF itself. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, the Brics Plus countries may establish a common platform for sovereign wealth funds, SWS. According to the Sovereign Wealth Fund Institute, 9 of the 10 largest sovereign wealth funds in terms of assets under management (AUM) are from developing economies in the global south. China Investment Corporation, CIC, has $1.35 trillion in assets under management, and Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, ADIA, has nearly $0.8 trillion in AUM. The total amount of assets managed by the top 10 SWS from the global south exceeds $6 trillion. In 2022, the latter figure will be greater than the combined GDP of the United Kingdom and France. To be sure, the creation of a common Brics currency will not be a magic wand that will solve all of the global south's economic woes. More emphasis will need to be placed on the development of deep financial markets that provide favorable conditions for long-term investments. Greater trade and investment liberalization, including capital account openness, will also need to be prioritized. However, as with other countries and regions, including the EU, the launch of a common currency project may act as a disciplining mechanism, improving the quality of economic policy. Finally, the theme of the Brics Group's member countries creating a common currency will be discussed at the organization's summit, which is scheduled for the end of August in South Africa and will be attended by a group of African nations. But what do you think? Can the new Brics currency truly rise to rival the US dollar? When will this happen? Let us hear from you down in the comments. We love hearing from you, and we do our best to read and respond to the comments personally. Also, if you have any questions or suggestions you'd like us to cover in this channel, then write them in the comments. And that's where we wrap things up for today. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications in order to stay connected. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.